Chapter 158. No. It's because of what happened outside. Luo Xuqing thought of the scene in the restaurant last night. She couldn't help but feel her chest tighten and her breath quicken. She ground her teeth to pieces. What more Luo Nan, who had his neck strangled by that bastard? Mr. Bai nodded. No matter what, the symptoms have already manifested. The next problem is treatment. You did an examination at On Hai's place yesterday, which basically explained the situation. The patient has two special points. One is that he is in his puberty period. The other is that he has a history of hereditary diseases. These all need to be considered. Under the influence of incorrect information, even a capable person like Ms. Luo Xuqing could only be manipulated by others. Her mind was restless. She asked, "You mean?" "My general recommendation is that there is no treatment. Taking medicine is not a good method for a child like this. Instead, he should rely on environmental regulation and self-regulation. At this stage, a family atmosphere is very important. Self-control is also very important. Simply speaking, it is to relax, recuperate, and follow a routine of work and rest. It is not recommended that he engage in heavy physical and mental activities. Of course, the current symptoms of drowsiness, coughing, and so on need to be interfered with to avoid affecting his quality of life. How about this? First, stay in the hospital for 2 days. Soak in a nutrition pod and do some psychological counseling. Let him learn how to relax." Ms. Luo Xuqing didn't respond, but Luo Nan could no longer hold it in. "Mr. Bai, why do I need to stay in the hospital?" "Because you really are sick. Your autonomic nerves have been damaged." Mr. Bai deserved to be called an authority in the study of souls. His mental cultivation was deep. He could multitask with plenty of time. The sudden cough is the most obvious evidence. Also, are you very thirsty right now? Who are you showing this early in the morning? Who are you trying to impress with your drooping eyes? For a young man who can already use soul host to show these symptoms, it's obvious that there is a problem with his physiology. Luo Nan was speechless for a moment. He watched as Mr. Bai made his aunt willingly go through the procedures with just a few words. He pondered for a long time before speaking. "Is it because of the imbalance of body and soul? It's good that you know your place." Mr. Bai sighed. "I can see that you are very talented in the study of souls. You learned it yourself and you can use soul host to soul attach. This chapter is not finished." But which part of his body had been enlightened? Why did his spiritual cultivation improve again? "I've just tested it. Your ability on the spiritual level is quite unique. Even I can't delve too deeply into it so as to avoid causing more stimulation. But the more it was like this, the more troublesome it was. One had to know that compared to the soul, the improvement of the body was too small, and it was very easy to be left behind. In ancient times, many senior experts abandoned their bodies because of the imbalance in the progress of their souls and bodies. They were either self-righteous or had no choice but to abandon their bodies. In the end, they were reduced to wandering ghosts, their bodies and souls destroyed. We can't be careless about this. Luo Nan felt very wronged. He knew the reasoning behind this, but his soul strength had skyrocketed overnight. Was this still his fault? Well, there was no need for him to mention this particular symptom to Mr. White. Luo Nan tried asking, "Is it okay to start training now?" Mr. White snorted and said, "You sick man? The most important thing now was to recuperate. Ren AI Hospital's nutrition cabin was very effective. Let's go through a course of treatment first to see the effect. Don't worry. It's not the usual common goods. It's the society's special nutrient fluid. This is considered a work injury. Wait until the observation period is over. If you want to get better results, you can contact the society's high-level pharmacists. 1 or 2 points should be enough to get someone to concoct medicine for you. Alright, you just joined the society. Do you know what honor points are?" "Yes, I do. But I still need to use medicine?" Luo Nan had long seen that Mr. White was a humorous person who didn't bother with trifles. He was also a warm-hearted person. Luo Nan relaxed a lot when he spoke. "Then why did you say that there was no cure?" "I was afraid that your parents would give you the common goods on the market. Let's not talk about whether the target is right or not. If the stimulation is too light or too heavy, the situation will become more troublesome. What do you do?" Mr. White immediately introduced Luo Nan to the situation of several high-level pharmacists in the society. But Luo Nan heard a few words and sleepiness bubbled up in his mind. He was a bit unable to calm down. He answered in a daze, "How's Brother Octopus?" "Octopus? You're familiar with him?" Mr. White sensed Luo Nan's state, but he didn't take it to heart. He just spoke truthfully. "That kid isn't bad, but he specializes in hallucinations and potential stimulation. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. We don't get along in this situation. But as a pharmacist, his connections are stronger than mine. You can consult his opinion." Luo Nan's impression of this warm-hearted and selfless old man grew more and more favorable. He promptly expressed his thanks. Mr. White emphasized a few taboos that Luo Nan needed to pay attention to. Then he let Luo Nan sleep first. This would make it convenient for the hospital to do further examinations. Luo Nan really couldn't hold on any longer. He gave his thanks again and fell onto the bed. Who knew that a new message would come from the Hexier at this time? It was a brief report on last night's mission. From Luo Nan's understanding, a brief report meant honor points. He was about to use it, so he suppressed his sleepiness and opened it to read. It looked like this brief report was He Yuan's work. It was concise and clear. Luo Nan skimmed through the description of the course of the operation. Then he looked at his own evaluation and points. Luo Nan's performance in this operation was mainly in discovering problems in the early stages. And in the early stages of the operation he excelled in completing the reconnaissance mission. He created the conditions for the society to successfully stop Jack. He didn't show anything else clearly. So his evaluation was a bit lower than last time. It was C+. His honor points were at 3 points. He was still in the first echelon. His current honor points had already reached 7 points. His accumulation speed was quite astonishing. It looked like he needed to seriously understand the society's shop. Luo Nan soon flipped to the end of the brief report, but he discovered that the format of the brief report was slightly different from last time. This time's brief report even had a link to spoils of war attached. He opened it and found out that the society had a spoils of war auction system. That is, the spoils of war would be displayed in an operation that yielded spoils of war. The members participating in the operation would bid based on their evaluation and determine who the spoils of war belonged to. As for the spoils of war this time, they were, of course, mainly obtained from Jack. They included a medium transport vehicle, deep blue walker exoskeleton armor, remains, detection scanner equipment, body modification parts, second-hand, and so on. Of course, the most eye-catching item was naturally the deep-sea Type 4 dynamo core. Luo Nan stared at this interface for a long time before he finally couldn't hold back. He coughed and laughed. He was very happy. Yan Yonghua should be very anxious. Chapter 159. Luo Nan paid the most attention to the deep-sea Type 4 dynamo core within the series of spoils of war. He remembered watching the scene from the sidelines. After the dynamo core lost the stimulation of energy and information, the separated filaments were retracted one after another. The wheat seed structure also became loose, returning to a 4 to 5 centimeter thin needle. It was very similar to his external neuron. A cutting-edge product that might very well be of the same origin as the external neuron in his possession, a direct clue that might very well be related to his father's whereabouts. Luo Nan was extremely interested in these spoils of war just based on this point. Moreover, Luo Nan had watched the entire negotiation process between Jack and Yan Yonghua. Naturally, he knew the value of the dynamo core and its related technology. At the very least, in the eyes of those who were observant, even if all the other spoils of war were to be combined together, they wouldn't even be worth half a fraction of it. The first thing Luo Nan did was to look at the bidding situation for the dynamo core. However, the bidding description showed that the spoils of war were still in the evaluation phase. It seemed that the society was unable to determine its value. Jack's brain nucleus was also being evaluated. This was a little surprising. The brain nucleus was admittedly an important processing center for the altered human, providing high-level thinking and emotional templates. However, it was still a mass-produced product after all. There was no reason for it to be placed on the same level as the dynamo core. Oh wait, I remember that this thing was wrapped inside the dynamo core? Luo Nan recalled the situation at the time. After the dynamo core had removed its metal wheat seed form, it had indeed dropped this brain core. Even earlier, when the Wraith sign probed Jack's brain, it discovered that the dynamo core was also surrounding the brain nucleus. It was unknown if there were any special requirements inside. There were too many mysteries surrounding Jack. Thinking back to last night, he had originally wanted to find out more about Yan Yongbua, but a freak combination of factors had caused such a huge scene. Jack was one of the most important catalysts. The Deep Blue World and the Apocalypse Laboratory were all unheard of. If Jack hadn't exposed them, how would Luonan have known of these things? After Jack's death, many clues were lost. He wondered if the association could put in more effort and dig out more relevant information. If this didn't work, Luonan would have to do it himself. He was pondering over Jack's secrets when a sudden connection suddenly cut in. It was Cragburst. Hello. Oh. Scout, are you feeling better? How does it feel to have a good sleep? I still want to sleep. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Luonan and Cragburst's friendship was extraordinary thanks to Knight's close cooperation. Still sleeping? Ruiwen is the same, even worse than you. She has never woken up, but her injuries are much more serious than yours. With that kind of injury, there's no harm in sleeping more. Though they weren't placed together, Luonan knew more about Ruiwen than anyone else through the intermediary effect of the format pyramid. According to his deduction, it would be difficult for the girl to wake up within the next 2 days. This little girl, Ruiwen, had an innate ability to sense danger. Even when she was unconscious, it was still operating instinctively. During continuous battles, the rhythm of her body and soul was directed towards rapid recovery. However, once the situation slowed down, the rhythm would become extremely slow. It was as if she wanted to take a long nap to conserve her energy. Luonan really needed to learn this method of making precise adjustments according to the changes in the external environment. Alright, you want to play bidding? Luonan jumped in fright from this fellow. Even his sleepiness was swept away a bit. How did you know? Look at the interface. It's clear who's online and who's paying attention. You don't even know this. You're just a rookie and you still want to compete with others for money? Cragburst laughed loudly. Luonan knew that he had made a mistake, but he didn't let go of the opportunity to understand his opponent. He asked directly, "Which one have you taken a fancy to?" "I'm not interested in any of them. They don't match with my abilities and hobbies." Cragburst responded quite straightforwardly. "Then why are you looking? If I can trick someone, why wouldn't I look?" Cragburst laughed again. "It looks like the middleman hasn't found you yet. Perhaps your information is classified and he can't find a breakthrough point for now." "Middleman? Even if you don't ask, I'll still remind you. But you're a psychic. You're a mentally enhanced ability user. You have nothing to do with altered people or anything like that. I'm afraid that not many of these spoils of war have caught your eye." Luonan hesitated for a moment, but he still responded to Cragburst's words. Cragburst talked non-stop as he explained, "But for our society, aside from going to the wilderness for a big gamble, there aren't many situations in which we can seize so many spoils of war within the city. The right to bid, especially the right to bid in the first wave, is truly rare. If we use it carelessly or miss it, then it would truly be a waste." When Luonan heard this, "Please flip the page if this chapter doesn't end," he understood. "You're talking about purchasing. There's someone in the society who has taken a fancy to the items inside. They want to trade for them." "Smart. But I need to add one more thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone from the society. Even outsiders can do it." "Of course they can. As long as they can bring out goods that move people's hearts, then they can exchange what they need. The cutting-edge technological equipment we obtained this time is quite popular in the market. There are already 2 or 3 parties who have expressed interest. Especially the 2 items that are currently being evaluated. Even I'm moved by their conditions." Luonan's mind had been preoccupied with something. Hearing this immediately stirred an extremely sensitive chord and he blurted out, "It can't be Yan Yongbua, right?" "Yan Yongbua? No, it's an intermediary company." "But wait a minute. The news came out too fast. The briefing is still hot." Cragburst's temperament was straightforward, but he wasn't an idiot. He clapped his hands on the spot. "Don't say it. It's really possible." Luonan grinned. "I don't want to do as he wishes." Cragburst naturally knew of Luonan's attitude towards Yan Yongbua. His interest was immediately piqued. "I'll go check it out. Wait for my news. If it's true, then the way we do things will be different." He excitedly hung up the call and went to work. Luo Nan muttered to himself for a moment. He set the bidding for the dynamo core, including the brain core, to be watched immediately. He exited the interface of the Hexier. Right now he was lying on his bed, blinking his eyes. Though drowsiness surged forth like a tide, he felt as if he had missed something. Oh, that's right. He turned his head. The split-page notebook that never left his side lay peacefully on the headboard of his bed. The pitch-black cover was like the entrance to a tunnel leading to an unknown direction. Luo Nan leaned against the headboard and sat up. He flipped open the notebook to the flexible e-ink screen page. He swept his eyes over the other icons and stopped on the visualization diagram. The visualization diagram icon that had just been displayed on Friday night was still in the download and install state. However, the area that glowed faintly seemed to have increased by a tiny bit. Sure enough, when he mentally injected it, the percentage of completion displayed had jumped from 2% to 6%. Should he be happy for the sake of a threefold increase? Luo Nan shook his head and his finger brushed across the flexible screen. The interface turned off and a slender needle was drawn out from within the flexible screen without a sound. The next update will be around 2 in the morning. Everyone, don't wait. Let's see it tomorrow morning. Chapter 160. Luo Nan focused his gaze on this dynamo core that he had long since possessed. Compared to the Deep Sea Type 4, Luo Nan was certain that this dynamo core was nearly twice the length of the Deep Sea Type 4. And clairvoyance on the mental plane could see that the electricity flowing on the dynamo core was much more intense. It was probably because the model was different, but he didn't know how to address it. From Luo Nan's current perspective, this toy, the dynamo core, was truly very peculiar. It possessed a feeling of substance on the material plane, yet it constantly affected the mental plane. The mental and the material interfered with each other, blurring the positioning of its material. It was as if the dynamo core existed in the crevice between the mental and material planes. There were simply too many things worth studying. Luo Nan let the dynamo core merge with his brain while he pondered. He wanted to try and see if he could be like Jack and activate this toy. Since it's an activation, we should give it some stimulation. Luo Nan wasn't like Jack. He didn't have a dedicated power transmission line, so he was unable to provide enormous electrical support. All he had was soul energy. He didn't know what to do either. He simply let his soul power seep in and it quickly turned into a form of observation. The range of his spiritual senses shrank rapidly in exchange for an increase in accuracy. But for now, no matter how much the range shrank, it was still locked within a range of 10 meters. No matter how much his accuracy increased, it was still swaying around the millimeter level. His best record was still some distance away from 1/10 of a millimeter. This obviously wouldn't work. If one were to use the standards of cutting-edge technology to determine the precision of the dynamo core's craftsmanship, it would at least be at the nanometer level. That was 1/millionth of a millimeter precision, which was close to the atomic scale. Just thinking about it made one despair. However, Luo Nan still knew that within the dynamo core, there existed an inconceivable subbrain chip within the neuron-like structure of the cell body. It bore the burden of a huge amount of coding, translation, and calculation tasks. The reason he knew all this was because last week, the dynamo core had grown to a certain degree under the support of the abundant energy of the independent power station of the Gear Laboratory. Providing a huge amount of energy was obviously a more direct and effective method. Compared to an independent power station, Luo Nan's individual strength was negligible. Of course, the dynamo core did not respond. Sure enough, it's not that easy. If I can get Jack's dynamo core application technology and use it on myself, it shouldn't be considered as a cyborg, right? Luo Nan fell into a deep sleep with this thought in mind. However, less than half an hour later, he suddenly opened his eyes and moaned. This won't do, it's too dangerous. The method that Mo Luan provided was indeed only a temporary measure. It wasn't completely correct. Luo Nan, in order to lose weight. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Lightening the pressure on the body, making the soul and the physical body inseparable, tilting the soul deeper into the mental plane. At first it was fine. The pressure on the body was reduced. Other than lethargy, coughing, and occasional shortness of breath, there were no other symptoms. But as time passed and he gradually fell asleep, the side effects of his soul delving deeper into the spiritual plane appeared. Chaotic, too chaotic. No matter how much Luo Nan desensitized the noise of his soul, the basic unit was right there. As long as the soul configuration, a concept he learned from Jack, fell into reality and truly existed, the circulation of energy and information would never stop. All sorts of information in the surrounding environment would be used at all times. In particular, this was a hospital and inpatient department. Almost all the creatures here carried some sort of illness. One or two didn't matter, but when dozens or hundreds of them gathered together, they formed a gloomy and chaotic spiritual wave that covered every floor. A normal person might only feel a bit depressed, but Luo Nan could even hear the despairing weeping and howling of the patient. Life was withering and decaying, energy and information colliding, everything was gloomy and deathly still. It only took half an hour for Luo Nan to feel depressed. He couldn't go on like this. Luo Nan tried to find a better place for his soul to rest. But the problem was that this kind of place didn't exist on the mental plane, but it was in a deep and secluded area. It was far from the material plane, so it was impossible to maintain the state of being inseparable from the physical body. Wouldn't this be an out-of-body experience? Luo Nan tossed and turned on the bed. He was clearly sleepy, but the disturbance was endless. He was tormented to the point where he wanted to contact Mr. Bai and ask to be discharged. There isn't a single one that can accommodate soul strength without leaving the body. Luo Nan suddenly opened his eyes and grabbed the notebook at the head of the bed. With a thought, the dynamo core of an unknown model seeped into his body from his palm, traveling all the way to his brain. He referred to Jack as an example and let the dynamo core stop at the central mass between the left and right thalamus. He poured his soul clairvoyance into it, entering the marvelous crevice of mutual interference between the mental and the material. It's working. It's really peaceful. It's like there's nothing at the end of the deep void. Luo Nan really fell asleep this time. It was incomparably peaceful. It was already 4:30 in the afternoon when Luo Nan woke up. It just so happened to be visiting time. His aunt was in the ward, staring blankly at him, lost in thought. Aunt. Luo Shuqing's gaze connected. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. Her eyes were slightly moist, but she had already lost control of herself too many times since last night. She didn't want Luo Nan's mood to be stimulated again, so she took a deep breath and forcefully maintained a calm tone. Do you know how you came in? You slept in the car? Luo Nan put on an innocent face. In reality, he really didn't know how to alleviate the worry and anxiety of his elders. It was impossible for him to pat his chest in this situation and say, "This kind of thing will never happen in the future." On the contrary, this kind of thing will probably happen more and more often in the future. Luo Nan's hesitation made Luo Shuqing comfort him. Are you feeling better now? The doctor said that it's mainly a neurological disorder. The symptoms aren't serious and you don't need to take medicine. Soak in a health pot a few times, stop coughing, drowsiness and other conditions, and you can go home. Normally, Luo Nan should have asked something like, "What's going on in the end?" But he didn't want to say these empty words at this time. He just smiled at Luo Shuqing. I don't feel anything. It's like I skipped a day of classes. I've already applied for a long-distance video course on your behalf. It starts tomorrow. The conversation between aunt and niece was about to step onto the normal track when a soft electronic sound rang out. A face that Luo Nan was familiar with appeared on the display panel of the mechanical nurse. Mr. Xia Junping has come to visit. Luo Nan was quite surprised. This person's information is quite fast. Luo Shuqing was a bit surprised. Your friend? Yes. Xia Junping pushed open the door at this time and walked in with large strides. He shouted, Junior Nan, I heard that you're sick and hospitalized. What's the situation? He was stunned when he saw Luo Shuqing when he opened his mouth. He had read through Luo Nan's information and quickly realized the relationship between the two. He immediately bowed. Hello Mrs. Luo. I'm Xia Junping. I'm the same as Luo Nan, I'm also at Acumen College. It must be said that before Luo Shuqing saw through Xia Junping's nature, this fellow's bright and cheerful appearance gave people quite a good impression. Luo Shuqing's first impression of him was quite good. Luo Shuqing was a very traditional woman by nature. Even though she really wanted to speak a few more words with her nephew, she still paid great attention to etiquette since they were guests. She chatted a few words with Xia Junping before excusing herself to understand Luo Nan's condition. She gave the two youngsters space to converse. Xia Junping bowed all the way as he saw Luo Shuqing out the door. He came back and bragged, even though a certain someone isn't sleeping and is hospitalized, the procedures related to the Order Club were all done in 3 days. Chapter 161. Xia Junping had said last week that Luo Nan needed to go through the procedures after entering the society. However, Luo Nan had slept for an entire day over the weekend. On Sunday he had gone to the sanatorium to accompany his grandfather. On Monday he had been directly admitted to the hospital. He had tossed all of these matters aside. It was fortunate that Xia Junping had picked up all of these matters. Luo Nan was a bit embarrassed. He expressed his thanks and buried his head in a pile of electronic documents. Xia Junping had been explaining the purpose of each document to Luo Nan in the beginning, but then he saw that Luo Nan was completely ignoring him. Luo Nan was wholeheartedly focused on signing, displaying complete trust in Xia Junping. Xia Junping felt comfortable in his heart and simply began to chat. Of course, the topic of conversation was always about gear. "Brother Nan, you just don't like the construction society, right? I don't think you need to worry too much. It looks like the construction society is determined to bring in the Rainbow Fund, but the Mystic Arts Research Society isn't to be trifled with. When those people become willful, they dare to do anything. I've been asking around these past 2 days. They're all clamoring to start a war with the construction society. In comparison, the Rainbow Fund is still a legitimate company. They have to look at investment returns, right? What if the manager goes crazy?" Luo Nan put down his digital pen for the first time. He raised his head and asked, "Gear. Aside from its location and design, are there any other high-value assets?" "I've never heard of this. Why do you think so?" "Right now, the premium between the two sides is not particularly serious." Luo Nan didn't speak. He learned something from Cragburst. After last night's conflict in the dining room, Yan Yongbo really put in a lot of effort when he talked about gear. He treated it as a proper business and even gave the lawyer a deadline. Seemed like someone was forcing him. This was completely different from Luo Nan's initial conjecture of personal reasons. Also, the Mystic Arts Research Society also had an incredible background. Last Friday night at the Limestone Water Village pub, Luo Nan discovered during his operation that this society was actually related to the Order of Justice. In the past, Luo Nan did not have a direct understanding of the strength of a secret order. But this time, the power grasped by Elder Mo Luan of the tiny Blood Flame Order was an eye-opener for him. From this, it could be inferred that the Order of Justice, whose strength was far above that of the Blood Flame Order, was certainly an incredible colossus. The bidding war between the Mystic Arts Research Society and the Construction Society seemed to have broken away from the competition between school societies and sponsors. It had entered a completely different level. Hopefully he was just thinking too much. Of course Luo Nan had gear. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Irreplaceable significance. He also believed that his mother's designs had the power to become a classic. But for powers like Quantum Corporation and the Order of Justice, what was the actual value of a wetland building? Luo Nan hated that he couldn't immediately return to school to see what was going on. At 5 o'clock the hospital's visiting hours ended. Both Xia Junping and Luo Shuqing were persuaded to leave. On the other hand, Luo Nan truly began his health pod treatment. There was no dinner and he had to be stuffed naked into a translucent nutrition pod. The most embarrassing thing was that Mr. Bai had personally come to supervise. Luo Nan seriously suspected that this overly carefree little old man had come to see him make a fool of himself. "Don't be nervous. Don't you have a filter?" If he could breathe, he would just take it as sleeping in the bathtub. "By the way, since you just woke up, do you want to play some games?" There's even a game? Luo Nan was wearing a breathing apparatus, so he couldn't open his mouth. He could only watch with wide eyes. Through the Hexier. Mr. White smiled as he switched to the Hexier channel. Ouyang has migrated quite a few games to the Psychic Wave network. They are updated in a timely manner and are very popular. For example, there are games like 10 Days in the Wilderness. Don't you youngsters like to play? Hold on. Don't jump around like this. Mr. Bai tapped his own forehead. "I heard that your application of the Hexier has already reached the computer level?" That's how it is. This is a typical manifestation of an imbalance between body and soul. It seems that you've learned to attach your soul without a teacher. Perhaps the 4th level simulator won't be a problem for you. If you get addicted to playing, your soul strength will increase. Then you'll be in big trouble. Simulator. It's similar to virtual reality. In the Xianxia, it goes from basic interactive applications to active collection and operation of energy and information. It breaks away from the limitations of the fleshly body and materializes self-logic on the psychic wave network. Luo Nan blinked and concluded, out-of-body state? Mr. Bai raised his eyebrows. That's right. This kid's brain is really fast. This is the out-of-body state. It's also called astral travel. On the psychic wave network, there's the protection of energy. The risk of an out-of-body state can be minimized. You can try it in the future, but you absolutely can't right now. Not only can you not play games, but you can't leave the body. There's also meditation. Oh right. You can meditate, right? I can visualize a bit. Isn't that about the same? It's the same. All methods that can increase soul strength can't be used. Here. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. At your level, visualization is no longer a game of pure thought. It is necessary to gather and operate energy and information at all times. This will bring enormous pressure to the fleshly body. You'll truly lose your balance. When the time comes, it'll be a bit easier for you to just die. Mr. Bai's words knocked Luo Nan back to the cold reality. He could only laugh bitterly for a time. Reality was like this. If he hadn't learned a bit of expediency from Mo Luan, and if he hadn't had the dynamo core to entrust his soul to and dispel the pressure, Luo Nan would certainly be living a life worse than death. Mr. Bai scared Luo Nan to let him understand the seriousness of the matter. Then he gave a solution. If you really can't do it, then chat. This old man won't chat with you. You can find someone else. Crackburst is a chatterbox. That secretary seems to treat you quite well. She's even a beauty. Luo Nan rolled his eyes while the nutrient fluid hadn't covered his face yet. Oh right. I'll go find Ouyang and seal your privileges. Kids are always unreliable. The old mister did what he said. He patted his butt and left. Luo Nan really admired this old man. But he really did relax quite a bit after being messed around like this. He didn't feel any discomfort even though he was covered in the nutrient fluid. But soon Luo Nan was faced with a real problem. He really couldn't sleep. There were many things in his mind, but he couldn't find a clue. It was a mess and his brain was especially excited. It was very tiring. Did he really have to chat? Helpless, Luo Nan scrolled through his friend list on the Xianxia. There were only He Yuan, Cragburst, Octopus, Zhang Yingying, Mr. Bai, and a few others on the list. Which one should he choose? Someone had already taken the initiative to make a choice for Luo Nan while he was in a dilemma. The greenish-gray octopus head jumped up and down. Bro Octopus? Bro, have you entered the cabin yet? I'm inside. Luo Nan had already contacted Octopus before starting the treatment. They discussed the matter of concocting the nutrient fluid. As a professional, Octopus gave Luo Nan many useful suggestions. He also wanted to help Luo Nan contact a suitable pharmacist. In the professional field, Octopus's horizons no longer stopped at Xia City. He looked to the entire world. He recommended Luo Nan an authority in the field of nerve repair, Dr. Clay, who was far away in Los Angeles, America. He even volunteered to make the contact. Right now there was already a result. Bro, I have the latest news. Chapter 162. Octopus chuckled. Luo Nan knew that it was almost done. Our luck is pretty good. Dr. Clay is quite interested in your case. He has already decided to take it. I've already paid in advance. Bro Octopus. Hey, you can't let me take advantage of you, right? That nerve drug of yours must be shelved. Targets neurons. Most of them are sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. If damage has already appeared, it will be hard to predict what will happen if we continue to stimulate them. If we save this expense, wouldn't I be taking your grandfather's molecular formula for free? That's not how it works. That's how it works. Oh right, there's a small problem in this matter. Dr. Clay is currently working on a project. He can't get away for a while, so he sent his students over to do the preliminary data collection and testing work. It will be done in about a week. As for Dr. Clay, it will be the end of the month. The end of the month? Luo Nan was startled. His scalp went numb in the blink of an eye. Didn't this mean that he would have to soak in this large bathtub of the health pod for another month? He hesitated for a moment before finally saying, "Wouldn't this take too long?" Octopus laughed. "What's the big deal in a month? It's not even a single course of treatment. You won't have to stay in the hospital forever," asked Mr. Bai. "As long as you can suppress your cough and lethargy, you can leave the hospital at any time. Then you can report to the hospital every other night for specialized treatment. The society will reimburse you. After all, it's a work injury." Luo Nan knew that Octopus and Mr. Bai had talked. The light blue liquid of the health pod had completely covered Luo Nan's head by now. Even though he was wearing filters, earplugs and other protective equipment, the strange, indescribably sticky feeling became more and more distinct. Luo Nan was not averse to this feeling due to his childhood experiences. He could faintly sense the composition of the nutrient fluid seeping into his body bit by bit with the precision of his senses. It affected the secretion of his body's chemical composition to a certain extent. Luo Nan could not help but carefully discern the minute changes within due to his years of habit. In the past he could only sense it roughly. Now he was countless times more precise. Correspondingly, the operating efficiency of energy and information had unknowingly increased. Not good. Luo Nan suddenly came to his senses and he hastily stopped the thought of clairvoyance. Even so, there were still many parts of his body that were faintly aching. "This chapter is not finished. Please continue." The pain made him break out in a cold sweat. Was she trying to cure him or harm him? If he had to experience this for the next month, then Luo Nan really would have the heart to die. His restlessness delayed him for a while and he was also distracted. Octopus could only call out again, "Hey brother, what's wrong? Do you feel uncomfortable?" "It's nothing." Luo Nan couldn't say that he was courting death, but in the end he couldn't help but grumble, "This place feels really vexing." He really suspected that the subtle feeling he had toward the health pod over the years would be completely subverted by the treatment period of a month or even longer. You just need to get used to it. Actually, I don't know how much I envy you. Brother Octopus, really, I'm not lying to you. Octopus couldn't empathize with Luo Nan at this time. His attention was focused elsewhere. "You don't know who the student that Dr. Clay sent over is. Bai Xinyan. She's the flower of fantasy in the pharmaceutical world. She's absolutely a first-rate beauty. She's not any worse than your secretary." Luo Nan decided not to say anything. But Octopus was inexplicably excited. She was really hot back in the day. If it wasn't for Mr. Bai keeping a close eye on her back in Xia City, I would have definitely chased after her. Think about it. You get to spend a month with such a beauty. Yeah, even if you spend 3 weeks with her, it's still a golden opportunity. Luo Nan was stupefied. "Mr. Bai." "Yeah. She's Mr. Bai's daughter. She's also a mentally enhanced ability user, but she's even more talented in pharmaceutical studies. She's Dr. Clay's favorite disciple. She even surpasses him in some areas. Oh right. You need to remember that Mr. Bai and his daughter don't have a good relationship. Bai Xinyan left for America and hasn't returned for many years. Seems that this is one of the reasons. Don't use your relationship to worm your way into getting close to her. Otherwise, don't blame me for not reminding you if a problem arises." Luo Nan was really defeated by Octopus. "Then that's it. Alright, the health pod is vexing. Do you want to chat? Tonight is free." Several bouts of cold rain drifted past. The chill gradually grew heavier. The sky of Xia City darkened earlier and earlier. Today was another day with dense clouds and no rain. The cool and refreshing autumn weather had been blown to who knows where. This chapter is not over. Please turn the page. Xia City Airport. Inside the VIP lounge. Yan Yonghua sat quietly on the sofa. His posture was upright and his expression was dull. He looked completely like a successful businessman. His aura was a bit stronger than that of Quantum Corporation's Xia City area CEO Hu Yuli. However, Hu Yuli didn't mind. He minded his own business, drinking tea and resting. Occasionally he would cast a glance at the enormous projection area in the lounge. Right now, the projection area was broadcasting a special program produced by the Star Associated Society. The host spoke extremely fast as he asked the expert, "Why did deep blue walkers appear in Xia City?" It seems that the military has never sent this force to any metropolitan area, let alone to fight within. This should be the first time in history. Expert One's expression was wooden as he spoke. There have been. From what I remember, there was one in 90 years, but it wasn't to carry out a military mission. There should be others, but they have always kept a low profile. Most of the time the public has overlooked them. The host immediately passed this fellow who didn't know how to cooperate. He consulted Expert 2. Most of us have the impression that deep blue walkers always appear in the wilderness or on the sea. They always fight with mutants. This gives us an innate impression that wherever deep blue walkers appear, it is always extremely dangerous. Expert 2's face was filled with a strange smile that said, "I knew you were going to make big news." He spoke rather fluently. Not only do we have to pay attention to the appearance of deep blue walkers, we also have to pay attention to the reaction speed of the government and the military. The number of deep blue walkers is limited. There are currently only 4 divisions in the entire world, and they aren't filled up all year round. Normally they operate in teams. Currently, combining all the information, the number of deep blue walkers that appeared in the early morning hours of the first is already very large. The possibility of a temporary transfer is very small. This means that they have always been in the vicinity. They might even be on standby in Xia City. As for why, we can only see the subsequent developments and the information excavated by all parties. Expert 2 didn't present any actual evidence, but he gave people unlimited room for imagination. Only then was the host satisfied. Now we will cut to a short video to further understand the deep blue walkers. At this moment, a sweet-sounding bell rang out in the lounge, indicating that the passenger spaceship they were waiting for had already entered the airport. Hu Yuli and the other pickup personnel all stood up. Only Yan Yongbua stared at the projection screen without moving for a long time. Chapter 163. Hu Yuli turned his head to look. Assistant Yan? Yan Yongbua didn't even raise his head as he spoke coldly. Cutting off Quantum Corporation from the program must have cost quite a bit. It's all right. The money was withdrawn from headquarters. They've always had a good relationship with the Star Associated Society. Hu Yuli responded with a smile. He didn't care if this smile was some sort of provocation. Frankly speaking, Hu Yuli really admired Yan Yongbua. Using a weapon on the level of a particle cannon in the vicinity of the residential area of Xia City was far too audacious. If the matter had been resolved satisfactorily, the company and the laboratory might have praised him for being courageous. But now Jack was dead, the test subjects were lost, and 2 deep blue walkers were lost. The entire operation was a complete failure. The so-called courageous had become arrogant. The direct losses caused during the operation could only be counted as a small fraction of all the troubles they faced. The Xia City government and military were already badly battered because of the human-faced arachnid incident. The cannon in the early morning hours of October 1st directly smashed the chaotic situation into a muddy pit. Who knew how many people in the political, military and business circles wanted to fish in troubled waters and reshuffle the cards? 3 days after the incident, videos and photos of the deep blue walkers appearing in Xia City had already broken through Quantum Corporation's blockade and quietly circulated on the internet. After accumulating enough, it exploded with a bang. Although it didn't involve particle cannons or darksider species, the deep blue walkers themselves were already an extremely prominent symbol of danger. In addition, earthquakes had occurred frequently over the past half a month. Both sides were intertwined together. Just a casual association would cause all kinds of strange and wonderful stories to circulate. Even the core insiders would be flabbergasted by some of these stories. These effects continued to ferment over the course of a week. The Star Associated Society, which had always pursued novelty and speed, even produced a special program a week after the incident. It wasn't unprecedented, but it was still very rare. Admittedly, Quantum Corporation's competitors were playing dirty in the dark, but it couldn't be denied that the entire incident was popular in society. At this point, the situation was completely out of control. As the nominally highest decision-making body on Earth, the Planetary Joint Development Organization Program Committee, Star Associated Committee, expressed disappointment with the Xia City government and military's ability to control. Please continue to the next page if this chapter is not finished. They were unable to properly control a war-level weapon like the charged particle cannon. They were unable to monitor a highly destructive team like the Deep Blue Walkers. They were unable to deal with the aftermath. The government and the military of Xia City had been slapped in the face over a dozen times. They flew into a rage out of humiliation. They immediately stopped all cooperation with Quantum Corporation regarding the human-faced arachnid matter. All sorts of investigation teams were sprayed out like water, heading towards every organization of Quantum Corporation. As for reasons such as the Darksider species, they were directly ignored in a situation where Quantum Corporation's headquarters was unable to fully endorse them. Hu Yuli had been managing the Xia City region for nearly a decade, but he had never encountered such a precarious situation. It was as if a team of military police would come in at any time and drag them all to prison. However, the headquarters still maintained an ambiguous attitude. On one hand, he didn't say a word about the suppression of Xia City's government and military. On the other hand, he controlled public opinion from beginning to end. He even controlled the tone of Xia City's government and military. He perfectly avoided the heart of the storm. No matter how one looked at it, they were treated like abandoned pawns. Hu Yuli's mental preparation had been going on for the past 3 days. After repeatedly smashing the jar, he became more and more calm and composed. On the other hand, it was worth exploring what Yan Yongbo was feeling right now. At this time, the sound of footsteps could already be heard from the VIP passageway. Hu Yuli called out once more, "Assistant Yan?" Yan Yongbo finally stood up. He straightened his collar and walked out with large strides. He walked in front out of habit, snatching Hu Yuli's seat of honor. Hu Yuli wasn't the least bit angry. Yan Yongbo's timing was just right. The group had just left when they saw a flight attendant leading a tall woman into the passageway. The woman wore a long, camel-colored windbreaker. She carried a large, dark brown backpack on one shoulder. Her upper body seemed to be casually draped in a white t-shirt with ghost patterns. The image of a ghost face was supported by the curved lines of the shirt. It was extremely bewitching. She wore black trousers and high heels under the hem of her shirt. Her long legs were straight and soul-stirring. Her long, wavy hair, dyed brownish yellow, draped behind her shoulders. She wore a black mask on her face, covering half of her porcelain-like cheeks. But when she saw the stream of people pouring out of the lounge, she smiled. Her slightly wide lips formed an upward curve. Her teeth were white like jade. She was confident and at ease. It made the dignified female flight attendant beside her pale in comparison. This chapter is not over. Please continue to the next page. Yan Yongbo took a deep breath and walked up to her. Supervisor Bai, it must have been hard for you to come all the way here. Hu Yuli followed and expressed his concern. I heard it wasn't a peaceful journey. It was hard to tell where Supervisor Bai was looking after her black mask. However, she responded to Hu Yuli's question. Yes, we were attacked by a 3-headed vulture. It was a false alarm. As she spoke, she carried her backpack and continued walking forward. Some of the flight attendants wanted to take the backpack from her, but for some reason they didn't dare to move. Yan Yongbo and Hu Yuli naturally followed by her side and returned to the VIP lounge. After throwing the dark brown backpack on the sofa, Supervisor Bai sat next to it. Her elbow propped up the bulging bulge as she took off her sunglasses. Her wild cheeks that never seemed to be at peace were now completely free from the shackles. In particular, the pair of eyes that were deeply sunken in his eye sockets seemed to flicker with light at any moment. However, upon closer inspection, they were clearly layers upon layers of cold flames. Hu Yuli didn't look directly at such eyes. He picked up his teacup and lowered his head in contemplation. Yan Yongbo, on the other hand, raised his head and faced this new colleague with the calmest and strongest attitude. At least that was what he had to think for now. In the end, it was Hu Yuli who laughed. Supervisor Bai, it must have been hard for you to come all the way here. We have already prepared a place for you to stay. Why don't you take a rest first? That's not necessary. I haven't been back to Xia City for a long time. I have an appointment with a friend. Supervisor Bai glanced at the 2 people in the room and smiled. Let's get down to business before we settle our personal matters. The task assigned to me by the laboratory is to investigate the relationship between the Deep Blue World Soul Sect and the various secret sects on Earth. So far, the most valuable information came from Assistant Yan. It is said that Jack personally admitted that he knows some of the contacts of the Soul Sect. Seeing that Supervisor Bai had gone straight to the point, Yan Yongbo secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He immediately replied, yes, including a senior member. So what's the specific situation? Yan Yongbo paused for a moment before saying, Jack is dead. We are pursuing the relevant clues to obtain his relevant information and records. We are currently working on it. Supervisor Bai picked up her sunglasses with one finger and magically made the sunglasses spin on her fingertips. More specific? Chapter 164. Yan Yongbo's gaze shifted from Supervisor Bai's slender fingertips. His expression turned gloomy, but he still remained calm. We believe that Jack was a modified human at least until the night of September 30th. That way, his way of thinking would not have been able to surpass the template of the brain nucleus and would not have been creative. We have the template settings of his version of the brain nucleus and have used the exhaustive method to list all possible options. We have selected the ones with the highest probability and checked them one by one. Okay, and then? So far we've searched through Jack's life circle but we didn't find anything. The Apocalypse Laboratory searched through the cloud space where the data was uploaded, but we didn't find anything either. After various investigations we can basically confirm that if there are any relevant data records, they must be carried by Jack. Yan Yongbo glanced at Supervisor Bai's face and paused for a moment before continuing. We have searched the battlefield in the early morning of October 1st, but the Ability User Association's search was very thorough and did not leave anything valuable behind. This way the target is likely to be in their internal bidding for the spoils of war. So far we have recovered all the bidding goods through the middleman. However, the evaluation of the Deep-Sea Type 4 Dynamo core and the brain nucleus has not been completed and the bidding has not begun. In addition, the C-2834 test subject is still under the control of the Ability User Association. It has been in a coma for the 7th consecutive day, but from the collected information, its vital signs are relatively stable. The lengthy speech could basically be regarded as a work report. Yan Yongbo felt this halfway through his speech. However, the arrow was already on the bow and there was no reason to stop halfway. Supervisor Bai did not respond immediately after the long speech. She seemed to be digesting the information and seemed to be in a daze. Yan Yongbo hated this kind of situation where he had to wait for someone to express their stance, but he still had to wait patiently. At the same time his heart slowly sank. This was the last thing he wanted to see. Hu Yuli was still drinking his tea, his eyes narrowed. After about half a minute, Supervisor Bai finally said, After listening to Assistant Yan, I am relieved. Yan Yongbo's eyes lit up and a smile appeared on his face. Supervisor Bai, before returning to Xia City I actually had a headache. After all, our missions are different. Even if we have a bit of cooperation with Jack and the C-2834 test subject, the following work will inevitably divide Xia City's current strength. Supervisor Bai leaned against her backpack and changed into a more comfortable position. It's all good now. All the measures that Assistant Yan has taken so far are under control. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. In this case I don't need to be polite, I can just use it. Yan Yongbo's expression changed. His current position was the CEO of the Rainbow Fund and the assistant manager of the Sky Blue Security Company. On the surface, the former definitely had more funds and resources than the latter, and that was indeed the case in a normal society. However, the problem was that if Yan Yongbo could only choose between the two positions, he would undoubtedly choose the position of assistant manager. This was because it represented the formidable strength of 4 full squads and nearly 30 deep blue walkers. But now, Supervisor Bai wanted to take everything away with just one sentence? The situation was worse than Yan Yongbo had imagined. Supervisor Bai wasn't just making empty promises. She had the signature of the Quantum Corporation headquarters and the Apocalypse Laboratory. When this electronic document was inserted into Yan Yongbo's work wristband, the authority settings on it came into play. Yan Yongbo's direct leadership of the 4 deep blue walker squads, which was the position of chief captain, was transferred to Supervisor Bai. Currently, Yan Yongbo was only an assistant in name at the Sky Blue Security Company. In reality there was no longer any meaning. Yan Yongbo's face was ashen as he stared at Supervisor Bai's dazzling face. His aura was already fluctuating faintly and the blood in his chest was about to boil. Supervisor Bai's relaxed posture did not change. She smiled at Yan Yongbo and continued to gather the power in his body. Hu Yuli could not sense the power mode of the burner, but he found that the atmosphere in the room had become extremely dangerous. It was not good for him to sit still, so he put down his cup and smiled to smooth things over. The headquarters and the laboratory must have their reasons for this arrangement. As long as the two of you cooperate sincerely, it doesn't really matter who is in charge of which area. In the end, there is still a difference. Supervisor Bai was surprisingly frank. As for the specific difference, Assistant Yen no CEO Yen can slowly experience it. Oh, I haven't congratulated you on your promotion to CEO. See you later. As she spoke, she stood up, picked up her large backpack and prepared to leave. Yen Yongbao stood up abruptly. For a moment he really wanted to pounce on her, but in the end his feet rooted to the ground. Only a hoarse voice squeezed out of his throat, but even he himself did not know what he said. Supervisor Bai seemed to have heard it clearly. Do you want to know the reason or the result? Why don't I tell you both? Research is not your job, so mistakes can be forgiven. Excavation is a task you cannot afford to make mistakes. However, Xia City's limited power cannot be divided up just for you. At the end of the day you are still. This chapter is not over. Please continue to the next page. Failure is inevitable. As for the reason, it is very simple. You're on the wrong team. She smiled slightly. When she passed by Yen Yongbao, she patted his face lightly, then put on her sunglasses and walked out. Yen Yongbao was in a daze. When the door to the lounge opened, he seemed to have woken up from a dream. Finally, he rushed forward and the words that he thought he would never say rushed out of his throat. Supervisor Bai, you should know that I didn't choose a side. Supervisor Bai aimed her dark glasses at him. Are you refuting me? Fine, so what if I have wronged you? Yes, you are very self-aware. You gave up your job at the Apocalypse Laboratory. And your research mission, you came to Xia City and took charge. I heard that you even want to pursue the He family's daughter? Yen Yongbao was a little stunned and did not know how to answer. Supervisor Bai's lips cracked slightly, revealing a beautiful and magnanimous smile. Do you want to realize your self-worth? What is your value? I'm sorry, I have to quote someone. Without the platform of Quantum Corporation and the Apocalypse Laboratory, you are nothing. You chose the excavation mission and chose to work as a human. You are destined to be dominated by God. Then if you chose the research mission and chose to work as a God, then dedicate yourself to God. Now do you understand where your mistake is? You are indeed on the wrong team. You are wrong because you are on your own side. Yen Yongbao was stunned on the spot. You are the first burner since the creation of Earth. You should understand where your value lies. If you are willing to cooperate, you can show it at any time. These 4 teams of deep blue walkers are still yours. Supervisor Bai raised her hand and shook her fingers lightly, bidding him farewell. Soon, Supervisor Bai's figure disappeared into the VIP passageway. Yen Yongbao stood at the door in a daze. Inside the room, Hu Yuli saw him like this. He was delighted but also felt a little sad. In the end, all that was left was rejoicing. Fortunately, I am going to retire. I missed another chapter. As of yesterday, I have updated 30 chapters in 9 days. That is 6 chapters less than expected. I really overestimated myself. Fortunately, the holidays are coming soon. Current progress. Subscription monthly pass February 15th. In addition, adjust the update time. Try to avoid being affected by class affairs. The 4 updates will be at 8 o'clock, 1400 hours, 2000 hours and 2400 hours. Do your best to update at a fixed time. The positive and negative time should not exceed half an hour. But if you adjust the schedule, it will probably be at the end of the holidays. Everyone, please bear with these 2 points and lose weight. Chapter 165. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon and it was drizzling. Due to the terrible weather, the lighting on the low-altitude public bus was dim. Luo Nan grew more and more drowsy and Mo Peng, who was next to him, yawned because of Luo Nan. Hey, you've been treating me for the past few days but there's no effect at all. Cough, I just feel like sleeping. Why don't we sleep somewhere else? Well, you go to sleep now. If I fall into the game hall, will I still be able to do business with the owner? Luo Nan was discharged from the hospital on the 3rd and stayed at home for another 4 days. In the end, Mrs. Luo Shuqing felt that staying cooped up at home wasn't a good idea. She had Mo Peng urge Luo Nan to go out and relax. However, Luo Nan really wasn't in high spirits. Anyone who was carrying a bomb that could explode at any time would probably feel the same as him. More than a week of treatment was not as ineffective as Mo Ping had said. His lethargy, coughing and other symptoms had been greatly alleviated, at least until last night. Yesterday was the night of October 6th. The Blood Flame Order, which had been silent for many days, probably felt that most of the people's energy was focused on the Deep Blue Walkers. The rumors regarding the human-faced arachnid had died down, so they resumed their grazing activities. As before, Mo Lun led the Wraith Sign, who had perfectly disguised himself as a former member of the same species. He circled all over Xia City. Then he was very lucky to bump into a member of the same species who wasn't so lucky. Ah Wu, the Wraith Sign, swallowed a mouthful of the Wraith Sign, treating it as a dessert. Then Luonan had a lot of fun. Luonan had managed to alleviate the imbalance between his body and soul with great difficulty, but the Wraith Sign's feedback caused the situation to collapse in an instant. Were it not for Luonan's out-of-body state and digesting this benefit in advance, it was very likely that his blood would have splattered all over the health pod. It would have been a huge news event at Renai Hospital. Next, Luonan paced back and forth outside his fleshly body for most of the night. He made repeated attempts before he was able to use the dynamo core as a buffer to carefully store his soul back into his fleshly body. However, it was also this torment that caused his soul strength to increase by another level, causing the pressure on his physical body to increase once more. This caused all the healing he had done in the past few days to go to waste. All the symptoms showed signs of relapse. After exchanging a few words with Mo Ping, he started coughing again. Mo Ping didn't know what to do with him. He was going to the game hall to enjoy a feast later. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Now that he found it boring to play mobile games, he didn't know what to do. Out of boredom, he glanced at the public projector of the low-altitude bus station, which was showing the current hot topics. Star-associated societies, Deep Blue Walkers. The talkative host, the dull expert, the slick expert, and the well-produced video editing combined to form a quadrilateral that constantly changed its center of gravity. It was actually very attractive. Mo Ping was captivated by the edited footage of the Deep Blue Walker. At that moment, the program entered the interactive segment between the audience and the experts. The host eliminated the ridiculous topics like, are there mutants in the underground of Xia City? And does the Deep Blue Walkers symbolize war? He chose a more professional and more basic question. There's a saying that Deep Blue Walkers don't just refer to a single piece of equipment. They also don't refer to a single person. Only when the burner is combined with a deep blue armor custom-made for them can they be considered a true Deep Blue Walker. Is that right? Wrong. The dull expert was an authoritative figure in the relevant field. His professional knowledge was impeccable. He immediately replied, strictly speaking, Deep Blue Walkers can be considered a kind of systematic concept. It is established on the basis of system theory and the archetype neural format theory. It requires the human nervous system to be the core to arrange all kinds of resources and obtain the most optimal results. The first application research of this theory was conducted by Quantum Corporation's Deep Blue project. As for the Walker, it's another name for the prototype machine. It has two meanings. The first is a pedestrian on the road. The second is a Buddhist term that specifically refers to a person who has entered the path of cultivation but hasn't taken a vow. In other words, this research is only at the beginning. It's just on the road. There's still a lot of follow-up work to do. In terms of the individual, the burner is fully deserving of being the core. It's just that it's limited by the natural conditions of the human body. It needs a special exoskeleton to supplement and assist. Therefore, the relationship between the burner and the custom-made armor is one of leading and supporting. It's not a parallel relationship. From my personal point of view, the relationship between man and machine should be that of core and supporting. The supporting equipment supports the lower limit of a Deep Blue Walker. The autonomous consciousness of man determines the upper limit of a Deep Blue Walker. The host was already starting to regret letting the dull expert speak. At this moment, who knew how many people in the audience at this moment? It was unknown how many people in the audience were watching. They would close their eyes and yawn. Or they would simply switch channels. Mo Ping was one of the yawning members of the audience. But when he turned his head, he saw that Luonan had raised his head at an unknown time. Luonan was staring fixedly at the projection screen. Oh right, this wooden expert was promoting the archetype formatting theory. It was the thing that Luonan couldn't stand. Mo Peng was really worried that Luonan would get angry and fall sick again. He hurriedly advised, "This bro is showing off. It's as if he's the only one who understands. What you say isn't without reason." Luonan was referring to the words, autonomous consciousness of man, that came after the wooden expert. It coincided with the situation he had been tossing and turning these past few days. It was just that the situation was a bit more complicated. But Luonan could foresee that if he could increase the endurance of his fleshly body, then the lower limit of his abilities would correspondingly increase. The problem was how to do it. It was practically impossible to keep up with the tempo of increasing the strength of his fleshly body step by step. Then should he transform his body? Mo Peng gave him a push just as he was muttering to himself, "Let's go. We're at our stop." The low-altitude bus stopped at the most bustling city center of Xia City. No matter what time of day it was, this place was always filled with people. Luonan did not have a good feeling about this place because it was far too stifling. As he walked on the pedestrian walkway, the towering buildings all around him seemed as if they would collapse at any time. Ah, Frost River reality. I'm coming again. Mo Peng suddenly became excited. Luonan raised his head and saw the gorgeous holographic advertising wall of Frost River reality not too far away. It was currently broadcasting scenes of hot-blooded battles. Battles in the wilderness, battles in lava, battles in the deep sea, battles in space. Each and every battle scene seemed to be real. They attracted the gazes of passers-by. Virtual reality had a fatal attraction to almost all young people. As the largest reality-based chain store in Xia City, every Frost River reality was actually a large-scale amusement park. There was no need to worry about not having a place to kill time. Of course, with Mo Peng's personality, it was impossible for him to quietly come and play with 2 or 3 people. Just as he was looking left and right for people, a call came in. "Peng 17, Nanster, come over here. You guys are really slow. I've been drinking so much cold drinks that my spine is about to freeze." A group of young boys and girls had already stopped at an ice cream store near Frost River reality. They were just waiting for them to come over. Chapter 166. The Frozen Star Ice Cream Shop was a famous chain business in Xia City. Although it was past peak season, it was backed by Frost River reality. Business was still great on Sunday nights. When Luonan and Mo Peng came in, they nearly got lost in the crowd. Luckily, the number of men and women waiting for them was not small. They were quite eye-catching as they waved. The group of people sat at 2 tables, which made the place more spacious. What was interesting was that most of the people here had the surname Mo. The Luo family was not very populous in Xia City, but the Mo family was flourishing here. Uncle Mo Haiheng had 5 brothers and sisters, and he was related to them in various ways. It was not difficult at all for him to pull together hundreds of people. Including his cousins, Mo Peng's age was ranked 17th among his siblings. He was usually called Peng 17. During festivals, Luonan would not even be able to straighten his tongue when greeting his uncles, aunts, cousins, or grandnephews. He would hide if he could. Of course, as a child living in his aunt's house, he was indeed an outsider to the Mo clan. He didn't have any blood relations with them, and with his temperament, most of his peers were just nodding acquaintances. Usually Mo Ya and Mo Peng would drag him along, so they would occasionally get together. Here. The one who waved the most cheerfully was Mo Han, the one who had just contacted Mo Peng. Mo Peng called her Sister 16 without the slightest trace of politeness. On the other hand, Luonan still called her Sister Han from a distance. In the past he had followed Mo Peng and called her Sister Pomegranate 16, but he did not want to call her that. It was probably because of the Mo family's genes. Other than Mo Ya with her super long legs, the youngsters of the Mo family were not too tall. Mo Han, this lively girl, was clearly 2 years older than him. She was going to go to college next year, but she was shorter than Luonan by half a head. Her beaming smile made her look very innocent. She could play with anyone. Luonan followed Mo Peng's shouting. The oldest of the Mo family's siblings was Mo Cheng. He was ranked 7th. He was already in his 3rd year, but he was the same as Mo Peng. He was a veteran game geek. His major was game design. He was always the leader of such activities. Mo Peng always acted as his assistant and began to count heads. 7th brother, 9th brother, 13th sister. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Sister Pomegranate. Oh my. Nancy, Brother Lu, Brother Jiang and Brother Jia are all here, right? Lu, Jiang and Jia were all members of Mo Cheng's gaming team, so they were used to playing together. Mo Cheng waved his hand. Let's wait a little longer. Qianxia hasn't arrived yet. And third brother, he's also here and he's treating us today. Mo Peng was very surprised. Qianxia was the only female member of Mo Cheng's team. It was normal for her to be here. However, the third son of the Mo family, Mo Qiu, was almost 30 years old this year. He was at the age to start a family and start a career. He had long passed the age to play around with these young people. Furthermore, he was someone who always put on airs. This was not right. Mo Han blinked and lowered her voice. I heard that they're here for a blind date. Till Mo Peng still didn't understand. Blind date? Doesn't he have a girlfriend? They broke up. They used to be in the same unit. Now that he's jumped ship to a new company, they broke up quickly. This one seems to be someone he met through Sister Chen. She's in the University Department of Acumen College. Acumen College? What a coincidence. Mo Peng looked at Luo Nan. She's a teacher. To Wei. She's a student. Holy crap. An old cow eating young grass. Mo Han wrinkled her nose. I heard that she's a beauty. She's an officer in the University Department of Acumen College. She's graduating this year. Hey look, Nancy, it's time for you to play your role. Is there such a person in your school? Luonan just laughed. How could he say anything? Mo Peng was very impressed. Looks like third brother Qiu has struck it rich. He invited the 10 of us to play games for the sake of a blind date. In the name of friendship. Mo Han had the appearance of someone who understood the world. Playing games is good. Don't look at how many people there are. Who cares about who in virtual reality? In the end, aren't they the ones alone? They can do whatever they want. Mo Peng gave a thumbs up to this Sister Pomegranate who dared to say anything. At this time, Mo Qiu, who became the center of the conversation, walked into the ice cream shop. He was dressed casually. His height was average, but his figure was maintained quite well. He looked very spirited. He had the maturity of a person in society and a bit of superiority. Perhaps it was very lethal to young girls who had yet to leave school. Mo Qiu frowned a bit at the noise of the ice cream shop. This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. This wasn't his ideal location for a friendship. Actually, Frost River reality wasn't it either. But since he was already here, he would take things as they came. He greeted his group of brothers and sisters. His posture was calm and he looked very confident. After taking a seat, he asked Mo Cheng, Ching 7, they haven't arrived yet? Qianxia just went to pick up her sister from the hospital. She just happened to be here to relax. He might be a bit late. How many people are coming over there? Currently there are 3 women and 1 man. Qianxia and her sister are your targets. One of them might be her sister's boyfriend. Oh, they're here. As soon as Mo Cheng said this, everyone's gazes turned towards him in unison. Which one is the blind date? Sister Chen's left or right? It's definitely the left. She's over there. She suits third bro's taste very well. The one on the right should be Sister Chen's sister. She's almost 1.7 meters tall. She's only in high school. Third bro shouldn't be this shameless. Mo Peng chuckled. High school? High school is good. He can socialize with me too. Mo Han extended her hand and gestured on top of his head. Girls with short bodies are cute. Boys with short bodies. She suddenly felt the unfriendly gazes from all around her halfway through her words. She stuck out her tongue and stopped talking. Qianxia's group had already arrived while they were whispering. Mo Qiu took the lead and everyone stood up to greet them. Luo Nan just stood up when he saw the slim woman next to Sister Chen. He was stupefied. She didn't immediately discover Luo Nan in the crowd. Instead, she followed her sister and greeted everyone. But she still had to see. The 2 locked gazes. Luo Nan had already mentally prepared himself, but the other's face paled. She didn't make a sound. Sister Chen had already introduced herself clearly. Hi Sister Chen Xiaolin. Acumen College's Mutual Aid Association's secretary. That's right. She was Shuelei's girlfriend Chen Xiaolin, who was admitted to the hospital for treatment after suffering a fright at the Limestone Water Village pub last Friday. Luo Nan never expected to bump into her in this kind of situation. It looked like Qin Xiaolan's impression of him hadn't been eased by nearly 10 days of treatment. This was awkward. Chapter 167. It just so happened that Luo Nan rarely hung out with this group of people. Qin Xiaolan, who was also the Qin that Imoqing spoke of, was not too familiar with Luo Nan. Qin Xiaolan, who was also the Qin that Imoqing spoke of, was introduced to Luo Nan along the way. She was a bit stumped when she suddenly saw this somewhat unfamiliar face. The awkwardness that was displayed on the surface actually covered up Qin Xiaolan's unnatural movements. At this time, it was the experienced Imoqio who came to the rescue. What do you think? Our fifth uncle's son, Nanster, has changed after attending Acumen College, right? You can say that Acumen College is nurturing people. Xiaolan, you didn't give me this much pressure the last time we met. Imoqio's self-deprecation and flattery eased the awkwardness. Everyone laughed. However, there were also some parts that were a little inappropriate. Imo Han secretly complained, "It's destroying people, right? They just came out of the hospital." Qin Xiaolan was able to form a battle squad with a bunch of big men. She was a character that wouldn't lose to men. She wasn't faking it. She immediately patted Luo Nan's shoulder. "So it's Nanster. I didn't recognize you just now. It looks like we haven't played together much. You just got in this year, right? Xiaolan is 1 year ahead of you, so let her take care of you in the future. If they bully you, just tell me." If it was under normal circumstances, Imoqio and Qin Xiaolan would have let the matter pass. But the problem was that Luo Nan wasn't a person with particularly strong adaptability. As for Qin Xiaolan, she was usually smart and capable, but her mind was unsettled right now. Her reaction was extremely terrible. She didn't follow up. She didn't even pay attention to her older sister's words. "Junior Luo, long time no see." Qin Xiaolan's abnormal reaction immediately attracted Qin Xiaolan's attention. In fact, Qin Xiaolan's current performance was quite different from her previous performance. Imo Peng and Imo Han hid to the side and whispered, "Holy crap, there's something going on." But to Luo Nan, this level was practically a loud announcement right next to his ear. Luo Nan glared fiercely at them. Qin Xiaolan didn't hear the whispers on the other side. Even if she did, she would pretend not to hear it. He was a little curious. "What? You guys know each other? Is Acumen College that small? I just met her last week. Senior Sister Qin even helped me." What else could Luo Nan say? He could only deal with it first. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. However, at this moment a voice from the other side joined in. "So you're also a junior from the academy? Last Friday, did you participate in the mutual assistance buffet party?" The one who spoke was Imoqio's target, Xianxia. She looked rather petite and beautiful, and her smile was especially alluring. No wonder Imoqio was trying so hard to woo her. "Yes." "Hello, Senior Tian." Luo Nan also remembered that he seemed to have met this person before. It was either the student council or a member of the Student Assistance Association. However, President Chen Weiqian was too dazzling back then, so the impression of the people behind him was already very shallow. If it wasn't for the fact that the information matched, he wouldn't have been able to recall it. Tianxi laughed quite happily. "Acumen College's power has suddenly risen greatly here. Junior Luo, Xiaolan, Tianqi and me are almost 1/3 of the total." Tianqi was the only male in Qin Xiaolan's group. He was also Tianxi's cousin. He was tall and thin and had a refined manner. It was obvious that he was interested in Qin Xiaolan. He stared at Luo Nan from the moment Qin Xiaolan's expression changed. His suspicion carried a hint of vigilance. However, when Tianxi mentioned him, she still smiled at Luo Nan. She extended her hand and shook hands with Luo Nan, calling him junior. At the very least, she didn't lack elegance. Luo Nan inexplicably felt that this was a bit absurd. He could sense it very clearly. Right now, the group of 4 from Acumen College was conversing back and forth, but they all coincidentally circled around one person. However, they were constantly affected by this person, Shuelei. Emotional issues. Luo Nan felt his teeth ache just thinking about it. Luo Nan wouldn't easily get involved in areas he didn't understand at all. However, he had participated in the unforeseen event between Shuelei and Qin Xiaolan to a large extent. He didn't feel that he had done anything wrong. Back at the Limestone Water Village pub, the human-faced arachnid had already set its eyes on Xuelei. It had taken control of the society's ability user, Black Wolf, to launch a pincer attack. It was clear that the human-faced arachnid wanted to treat Xuelei as food. If he hadn't exposed them on the spot, the consequences would have been too horrible to contemplate. But looking at it from another angle, if Luonan hadn't hypnotized the emotional Qin Xiaolin during the fight between Xuelei and the Black Wolf, Qin Xiaolin's psychological suggestion wouldn't have been so intense. He was more or less responsible. No matter how much undercurrent surged between the group of 4 from Acumen College, it wasn't the main topic of tonight's event. Frost River reality and the fellowship were the main topic. Please continue to the next page if this chapter doesn't end. Everyone got to know each other. They left their seats under Emochio's initiative. They entered the reception hall of Frost River reality in a grandiose manner through the inner door of the ice cream store. This was undoubtedly the intersection point between the virtual world and the real world. Even though they had yet to come into contact with the most core of reality technology, there were interactive AR virtual images everywhere in the hall. Iron-blooded, cool, cute. They were all jumbled together. It looked messy, but the high-frequency interactions between people and virtual images and between virtual images were still very interesting to watch. At the very least, it was very cute for girls. Luonan quietly fell to the back of the group amidst the sudden clamor. He muttered to himself for a bit and finally decided to give Xuelei a call. The call connected quickly. "Hello, Leicester. Where are you?" "I'm helping out at the Daoguan." Xuelei's voice was still very loud. "You're coming to class tomorrow, right? Why don't you come live in Blue Bay? We can go for a morning run together." Xuelei had called to greet Luonan when he was sick and hospitalized. He originally wanted to come and visit, but the hospital's visiting hours conflicted with the school's curriculum, so he gave up. He couldn't be as casual as Xie Junping. "I'm afraid my aunt won't agree." Luonan grinned. In the end, he brought up the topic of conversation. "Leicester, let me ask you something. You and senior sister Qin." There was no need to say it too clearly. Xuelei suddenly went silent. He wasn't someone who was good at hiding his personality. When he spoke again, he was extremely depressed. "She's steeled her heart to not meet with me. She's not even picking up my phone right now. The doctor said that it's best to keep a bit of distance from her to avoid provoking her." "Am I a freaking monster?" Luonan scratched his head when he heard this. He hesitated for a moment before saying, "I saw her at Frost River Reality. Right now I'm playing with her and a few friends. Why don't you come over and meet me? We can talk things over." "Which Frost River Reality?" "City Center, Fudong Main Street." "I'll be right there." Xuelei didn't say anything further. He hung up the phone and presumably rushed over in a hurry. But it would take at least 2 hours to get here from the River Wu district on the weekend. Luonan was really worried that he would come over empty-handed. He suddenly sensed something while he was pondering. He raised his head and saw Qin Xiaolin stop in front of him. She turned around to look at him. Chapter 168. Clearly, Qin Xiaolin was deliberately waiting for Luonan. Luonan greeted, "Senior Sister Qin." Qin Xiaolin spoke very bluntly, "You're in contact with Leicester?" Luonan was a bit embarrassed. His coughing came surging up at this time and his face turned red. But now that they had pulled away from the team in front of them, some things could be said. "I heard that Senior Sister hasn't seen him all this time. Actually, the matter at the time." Luonan coughed with great difficulty. He wanted to explain, but he didn't know where to start. From the bottom of his heart, he felt that it was better for Qin Xiaolin to never know about this level of things. "I can more or less understand what happened." "Oh." Qin Xiaolin watched Luonan, but the focus of her gaze wasn't on his face. "My dad used to be a special police officer. Leicester's father was also a special police officer. Their profession always brings them into contact with some very dangerous things. When faced with vicious criminals and the like, there's no reason. Violence is the solution, right?" Luonan could only nod his head in understanding. "The profession of a special police officer is very dangerous. Right now, Leicester's father is more or less a police officer. But my dad wasn't that lucky. He was blown to pieces during a mission. This happened about 7 or 8 years ago." Luonan was stunned hearing this. He wanted to open his mouth to console her, but he felt that it was meaningless. Plus, Qin Xiaolin's attitude was very calm and unperturbed. Junior brother Luo, I don't need to hide it from you. Leicester is the type that I really like. He's just like my father. He's firm, strong, simple, and generous. But when I think about how he might be like my father in the future, struggling between all kinds of dangers and never getting tired of it, I can't accept this. Qin Xiaolin shook her head amidst Luo Nan's silence. She suddenly laughed. And more realistically, I can't understand Leicester and your logic. Luo Nan spoke in a low voice. Senior sister, you're saying? Qin Xiaolin stared at him. Why did you and Leicester act like it was a matter of course when faced with that kind of situation? You didn't feel surprised at all? Panic? It was as if the surroundings should be filled with these things. Did you know? Your expressions at the time made my heart go cold. At this point, Qin Xiaolin took a deep breath and finally said, You and I may not be people of the same world. I can't understand and I don't want to understand, let alone come into contact with you. Luo Nan was silent again. A long while passed before he said, I have a general understanding of seniors' intentions. But I don't know anything about this sort of thing. I just thought that between you and me, if this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. It's rare to be able to say things out loud like this. I think with Leicester's personality, he's definitely not the kind of person who pesters others, right? At the same time, Luo Nan could see that Qin Xiaolin was an extremely rational person. She probably wouldn't turn back once she made her intentions clear. He was pessimistic about the results of Shui Lei's visit. But no one could accept this for Shui Lei. Qin Xiaolin was indeed reasonable. She nodded gently. Right, let him come. Let's make things clear. Then thank you, senior sister Qin. Luo Nan nodded and let out a secret sigh of relief. This sort of thing was a domain he was unable to understand. Forcing himself to do this caused a layer of hot sweat to appear on his back. The distance between the two and the group grew further and further. Many people turned their heads to look, especially Tianqi. He kept his gaze cast over, looking a bit gloomy. Luo Nan could understand the knot in Qin Xiaolin's heart, but some things weren't that easy to accept. He thought for a bit and couldn't help but ask, that person? Qin Xiaolin laughed. She actually flexed her arm to make a bulging motion. He's not my type. Clearly, Qin Xiaolin's mental state had calmed down quite a bit after talking about this matter. She could tell jokes now. This was obviously good for her, but the result for Shui Lei would only be more negative. Luo Nan sighed in his mind. He and Qin Xiaolin increased their pace to catch up to the group. Right now, the situation of the large group was quite interesting. Most people were paying attention to the center of attention of this get-together, which was Immortal and Tianxi. However, Tianxi was paying attention to Tianqi and Tianqi was paying attention to Qin Xiaolin. This chain of attention continued on, and unwittingly, Luo Nan and Qin Xiaolin became the center of everyone's gazes. Of course, Luo Nan and Qin Xiaolin were magnanimous, but people felt that they weren't magnanimous enough. Tianqi found it hard to say some things, so Tianxi smiled and said, Junior Nan, what are you talking about with our Xiaolin? Could it be that the matter last week wasn't settled? Was it because of the society? Oh right. Mo Peng realized something in hindsight. Last Wednesday I remember my sister saying that you were going to test for the Mystic Arts Research Society. Did you pass? Luo Nan was speechless. Mo Peng, you've gone stupid from playing games. Over 10 days have passed. Just how slow are you going to be? You're still holding on to the past and not letting go? Tianxi and Luo Nan broke into laughter in surprise before Luo Nan could respond. Tianxi said, the Mystic Arts Research Society? Tianqi is in the Mystic Arts Research Society. Luo Nan was a bit surprised. Tianqi finally had the chance to speak formally. He felt that it was a bit funny but also very strange. This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. I've been helping out with the newcomer's interview, but I've never seen him before. Luo Nan, this name sounds quite familiar. He stared at Luo Nan, sizing him up for a while. Then he suddenly cried out involuntarily, Oh right. You're not the one who missed the exam, right? You didn't show up for the interview on Thursday. There were even people who tried to contact you, but they couldn't get in touch with you. The school system showed that you skipped classes for the entire day. We were all fired. Well, missed the exam? Skipped classes for the entire day. Acumen College, is this cool? Nanster, You really make people have a whole new level of respect for you. Luo Nan discovered very innocently that he had suddenly become the target of criticism. Tianqi was a bit inexplicably excited when this situation suddenly occurred. His words grew more and more discordant. It's already quite late for our society's entrance exam. You skipped the exam. Does that mean you haven't joined the society yet? On the other side, Tianxi shook her head. She turned to look at Chen Xiaolin. Our society doesn't seem to have any arrangements. Did you miss it when you were admitted to the hospital that day, Xiaolin? It'll be hard to enter the society after you pass that window. Tianqi's expression was awkward and strange. Upon closer inspection, it was probably the type where he wanted to laugh but was holding it in. He wanted to increase his strength but was forcefully holding it back. But in the end he still couldn't help but say, Junior, it's not that I want to say this, but it's too much of a pity for you to miss the opportunity to enter the society. Plus, 8 credits will be deducted from your year. Luo Nan understood Tianqi's current state of mind very well. He felt a bit helpless and bored. When all was said and done, he had no enmity with this person. There was a 50% chance that they would work together in the same society in the future. He didn't want to make things too ugly. Just as Luo Nan was about to explain, Mo Han, who had just been loudly mocking Luo Nan and wanting to have a whole new level of respect for Luo Nan, was aroused by Tianqi's attitude. Her eyes jumped back in the blink of an eye. The Mystic Arts Research Society? The one that studies alchemy? How popular can a place like that be? Tianqi's tolerance for the little beauty was quite high. He laughed and spoke rather proudly, Our society has ample funds. All sorts of projects are being carried out. They mainly lean towards mental and material interference, religious rituals, magical spells, Eastern metaphysics, and so on. Among them, large amounts of microscopic particles, human elements, psychology, systems theory, and other frontier subjects are involved. Mo Han snorted coldly, deliberately mystifying. Little girl, this isn't mystifying. Suddenly, an arm wrapped around Mo Han's shoulder and pulled her into a hug, pressing half of the little girl's body into an embrace. The smell of alcohol and saliva sprayed onto the side of her face as she chuckled. Mo Han was caught off guard and screamed in fright. I'm finally home. I wish everyone a happy Mid-Autumn festival. I'm going all out to finish writing. Chapter 169. Everything happened too suddenly. The group of people watched as Mo Han was forcefully held in someone's arms. They didn't react in time. Mo Peng, who was the closest, was the first to rush over. He grabbed the man's arm and helped the struggling Mo Han break free. Mo Tao, Mo Han's elder brother and the strongest member of the group, let out a low roar and rushed forward, slamming the man against the wall and grabbing his collar. You're not going to die, Mo Tao said. What are you doing? *CK. What the *CK are you doing? The man was pressed against the wall, but his voice was even louder than Mo Tao's. The smell of alcohol coming from his mouth was nauseating. He was clearly very drunk. Luo Nan and the others were at the place where they had just walked past the reception hall and entered the passage. The environment suddenly became narrow. A dozen or so people formed a circle blocking most of the passage. The drunkard hoodlum shouted a few words, but he seemed to sober up a bit when he saw the dense mass of people before him. He was a bit scared for a time and stopped for 2 seconds. But soon his drunken eyes caught a glimpse of a certain person in the crowd. He immediately stretched out his hand and swung it twice. Finally he placed it on Mo Tao's shoulder and pointed at Tianqi, who was dumbfounded and had his mouth agape. What's up, little Tianqi? You can just flip your face when you want it outside? Officer Huang. Tianqi blurted out the first word, but he couldn't hold back the rest of the words. The man's many years of accumulated power made him feel weak in his heart. But the current situation truly exceeded the limits of his face. His fair face soon flushed red. If he could, Tianqi would certainly want to dig a hole in the ground and bury himself in it. Fortunately, his cousin Tianxi stepped forward bravely and angrily rebuked. Huang Bingzhen, what kind of drunken madness is this? The drunkard hoodlum narrowed his eyes. With great difficulty he saw Tianxi's face clearly under the blurred light of the hallway. He laughed again. Tianxi. Sister Cici. This guy called Huang Bingzhen was at most in his 20s. His drunken face perfectly accentuated his usual arrogance. Sister Cece, long time no see. Sup? Is it the student union or the student union? These people around me look unfamiliar. Don't crowd around me, I'm bored. He tried hard to pry Mo Tao's hand away but failed. This made him a little annoyed. Hey, you already know who I am. Who are you trying to fool? At that moment, some people in the crowd, if this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Luonan finally found some relevant memories. That's right, it's this Huang Bingzhen. According to the intelligence report, he's an officer of the Mystic Arts Research Society. He's a typical rich second generation and a pervert. Last Friday night at the Limestone Water Village pub, Cat Eyes had smashed him into the wall. Perhaps it was because he had taken too many drugs at the time, but that experience clearly did not teach him a sufficient lesson. Tianxi naturally knew the ins and outs of Huang Bingzhen. She wasn't afraid of his position in the school, but she was afraid of the Huang family's social influence. Her expression was very unsightly. Huang Bingzhen, who did you come with? If you're drunk, go puke in the toilet. Is it fun to lose face outside? The Mystic Arts Research Society and Acumen College have lost all face because of you. Huang Bingzhen had a cheeky grin on his face. It's fine. Sister Cece is so pretty. She'll grow back sooner or later. Everyone could see that there was no way to communicate with this fellow at this time. Mo Chio confirmed that Mo Han wasn't injured, so he didn't want to tangle with her any longer. He took advantage of the situation to close the distance between him and Tianxi. He lightly embraced her shoulder. Go. We can't lower ourselves to the level of a drunkard. Taoju, let's go. Mo Tao glared fiercely at Huang Bingzhen. He grabbed Huang Bingzhen by the collar and slammed him into the wall before letting go. Who knew that once Huang Bingzhen regained his freedom, he would run his mouth like a train. Hey, my friend over there. You're familiar with this line of work. Did you ask me for permission before doing this? Did you ask their president, Xianxia? This fellow had an intoxicated look on his face, but his heart wasn't. His words were poisonous. Tianxi's face turned green from anger, but the more she was like this, the more excited Huang Bingzhen became. So you guys are all hooking up, but I'm not allowed to hug a little girl. Come, little girl. Let me tell you about the Mystic Arts Research Society. He reached out to hug Mo Han as he spoke, but Mo Han, who had come back to her senses, wasn't someone easy to deal with. She immediately kicked out, hitting Huang Bingzhen's shin bone. Mo Han was wearing pointy leather shoes. Her kick was filled with hatred. Huang Bingzhen immediately let out a miserable groan. He hugged his leg and jumped, but he didn't stand firm. He fell to the ground, battered and exhausted. Let's go. Mo Chio didn't want to make a big deal out of this. He suppressed the unhappiness in his heart and called his companions to leave. The group of people walked inside, leaving Huang Bingzhen behind. Huang Bingzhen shouted, F***ck me, F***ck me. When they reached the corner of the passage, Mo Peng turned his head and swept a glance at Huang Bingzhen, who was still cursing on the ground. He muttered, this guy's mouth is too sharp. I'm afraid I won't be able to have fun tonight. This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. Luo Nan grunted. He looked at Tianxi and Tianqi's preoccupied appearances. This was indeed the case. When they turned the corner, Luo Nan's line of sight could no longer be seen. However, the range of Luo Nan's mental senses still covered Huang Bingzhen. He discovered that someone had gone over to greet Huang Bingzhen just as they turned the corner. Clearly, this person had seen the conflict earlier but intentionally avoided trouble. Luo Nan had actually seen this person before. He was Lu Tao from Xie Juanping's circle of friends. At the same time, he was also a high-ranking member of the construction society. He wore gold-rimmed glasses and had a very scholarly appearance. Huang Bingzhen was from the Mystic Arts Research Society. The circle of this group of rich second-generation kids far exceeded the circle of the school's societies. It didn't seem like a cruel bidding war was going on at all. Tonight, Mo Chio had actually spared no expense for this get-together. He specifically booked a large private room to facilitate the preparation work before entering. After the group of people entered the private room, they were guided by the AI to the scanning area to stand. The relevant equipment examined their body shapes, body characteristics, and so on. Data models were built, peripherals were matched, and so on were used to achieve the best effective reality. Actually, the vast majority of people had accounts at Frost River Reality. A single scan was enough to connect with their previous data. They could stand for a bit and come out. But there were always exceptions to everything. Only Luonan could not get through the scan. Mo Peng was impatient. What's going on? Nanster, I brought you to play before. As a veteran gaming geek, Mo Ching was quite clear about the things here. He shook his head and said, Nanster, you came last year. You're half a head taller than last year. You've developed, but you don't play often. The system needs to readjust. Luonan was well aware that the drug stimulation had caused quite a large change to his body over the years. Now there was no more drug stimulation, but under the stimulation of soul strength, the changes would probably be even greater in the days to come. He laughed. Actually, it's nothing. I told you earlier that I wouldn't play sensual games. Why wouldn't you play? Mo Han found it strange. Isn't this the reason we came to Frost River Reality? This. Luonan's skin finally went through, but a rare yellow light lit up in the scanning area. There was also a prompt. Distinguished customer, we are very sorry to disturb your gaming progress. Since you are currently undergoing treatment, according to the doctor's advice, please do not engage in highly stimulating games. Strive to update on time tomorrow and try to make up for it. Current payment progress. Monthly subscription March 15th. Chapter 170. Following the sound of the notification, Luonan's account in Frost River Reality had many privileges temporarily locked down. They were displayed as restricted. Even the peripherals and equipment that were sent over were different from those of other people. Everyone in the room looked at each other in dismay. I've lived long enough to see something like this happen? Even an expert like Mo Ching had never seen such a situation before. He clicked his tongue in wonder for a time. Luonan was calm. The scan results were one thing. The most important thing was that his medical records from Renai Hospital had been entered into the database. This situation only occurred when the two were combined. It could not be said that Frost River Reality was wrong. Many of the current somatosensory games used microstimulation of the nervous system to obtain more realistic effects. For Luonan, whose nervous system operated at a high rate, this was a big taboo. Mo Ching walked over to look at the specific restrictions and shook his head. I can't go to Area A and B. I can only play in Area C. The gaming area of Frost River Reality had a total of 3 levels. Area A was Reality Replica, Area B was Reality Immersion, and Area C was Reality Experience. The intensity of stimulation to the nervous system decreased in order. Of course, the degree of playability was the same. Area C was generally targeted at the elderly, children, or adults who wanted to relax. Young people who pursued excitement generally disdained this area. Luonan had talked to Mo Peng about the intensity of the game before he came. He just did not expect Frost River Reality and the hospital to be so extreme. Mo Peng reacted quickly. He spoke with a sense of loyalty. Then how about this? I'll accompany Nanster to Area C to practice his wilderness skills. You guys go wherever you need to go. Luonan walked out of the scan area and put on his combat suit peripherals. At the same time he shook his head. I don't need you to accompany me. You can go play with Brother Seven and the others. It was not easy for a gaming madman like Mo Ping to come here. He definitely wanted to go to the most exciting area, Area A, to experience the effects of reality to the fullest. Mo Peng was still thinking about it. At this time Tianxia smiled and raised her hand. I can't play games. I can't stand things that are too exciting. I'll stay in Area C. Since she had started, Mo Chio laughed. I'll also stay in Area C. Everyone else can play however they want. Just be careful. Ching 7, don't go crazy. Watch over everyone. No problem. Mo Ching said this. It was hard to say how much he listened. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Qin Xiaolin wasn't very interested, but Mo Han and Mo Rui pulled her to Area B. Tianqi also had a lot on his mind, but he definitely had to be on guard against this kind of natural third wheel. At that moment, Mo Tao and Mo Ping dragged him to Area A. The group of people were quickly assigned and left in a huff. Nanster, where do you want to go play? Mo Chio asked Luonan's opinion in a very considerate manner. The problem was that he was closer to Tianxi right now. It seemed that he was really interested in Tianxi. Huang Bingzhen's dirty words didn't affect him at all. Luonan didn't have any intentions of being a third wheel. He found a random reason. Third brother, you guys don't need to worry about me. I'm going to the 10 days in the wilderness to do some basic training. I'm also going to train my body in passing. Alone? No, Mo Peng can also turn on the guidance mode in Zone A. I'll call him when I get there. Luonan's wristband received a call as he spoke. It was an unfamiliar number. It just so happened that Luonan was about to pull away from the two main participants of the social gathering. Luonan raised his hand and gestured for them to move to the side. Hello, Mr. Luo. I'm Bai Xinyan. Luonan was stupefied for a moment before he reacted. Bai Xinyan? Wasn't that the brilliant disciple of Dr. Clay that Octopus Bro had mentioned? The one who had come to Xia City to help Octopus Bro with his early treatment and data collection? Especially since she was Mr. Bai's daughter. Luonan hurriedly added a greeting. Hello, Ms. Bai. Bai Xinyan's voice was low and gentle. It was very pleasing to the ear. Mr. Luo, the examination will only start tomorrow night. However, I just retrieved the information from Ren AI Hospital and the association. I saw the results of the automatic examination last night. It seems that there are signs of relapse. How do you feel now? Luonan secretly admired this person's strict attitude, but he couldn't say that the wraith sign was cheating him. He could only vaguely say, I really do feel a bit uncomfortable. I feel like the pressure has increased. Perhaps your soul power has grown again. There will always be a period of rapid growth before and after an ability user awakens. But for the current you, this is not good news. Bai Xinyan had accurately grasped the root of the problem and was very frank. Luonan was mentally prepared. Bai Xinyan continued, for the next step of treatment I need to update some data here. I hope Mr. Luo can cooperate. I need to go back to the hospital. This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. Is it? No need. I noticed that the Frozen Star system retrieved your information from Ren AI Hospital about 5 minutes ago. The Frozen Star system? It's the main system of Frost River Reality. It's located in the supercomputer Black Dome. It's the carrier of several experimental projects of the Star Alliance Committee, the military, and the Ability User Society. It has a relatively close relationship with us. You're at Frost River Reality right now, right? Fudong Avenue in the city center? He had been caught. Luonan was a bit embarrassed. He could only explain, I'm in Area C and my privileges are locked. No, Mr. Luo. You can't be in Area C. I need you to go to Area A. Frost River Reality Area A's competition space has a classic competition event. You should have heard of it before. It's the Frost River Waterway. Frost River Reality is named after it. As I know. Not only did Luonan know, he had personally experienced it. It was when he followed Mo Peng and called Mo Han's sister Pomegranate. That time was simply too embarrassing. Luonan still had lingering fears just thinking about it. The Frost River Waterway is actually a human body limit test project developed by our laboratory. It's equipped with an information collection device that can be used as a detection device to revise the relevant data. Then, Luonan was just about to ask when his wristband vibrated. He received an email in his inbox. Inside was an electronic key and the relevant method of use. Bai Xinyan's deep and melodious voice lingered in his ear. This is the temporary privileges of the Frost River Waterway. You can enter Area A through this. Then all you need to do is follow the requirements of the system. Join and do your best to persevere until the end of the game. That's it? Yes, I'll arrive in about 2 hours to extract the data. If Mr. Luo has the strength to spare, you might as well do it a few more times. This will help the system collect more comprehensive information. Luonan was very surprised. Ms. Bai has already arrived in Xia City? I just arrived not long ago. Bai Xinyan did not say much. She directly concluded, I'm looking forward to our meeting. I hope you have a good time. The call ended. Luonan looked at his wristband. There was an indescribable strangeness. Why did he feel that something was wrong? Hold on. The Frost River Waterway. Do it a few more times. Luonan felt that his spine was about to freeze in an instant. Chapter 171. Luonan stood still. He stopped at the boundary between Area C and the guide area. Ahead was the reality area filled with AR virtual images. Through the strengthening of the external goggles, these virtual images had a bit of a cartoon flavor to them. It was hard to tell the difference between reality and illusion. Some advanced players could choose their virtual guide. From virtual idols to game heroes there was no problem. Therefore the area ahead suddenly became lively and clamorous. Real human figures and virtual images mixed together. It was a dazzling sight. Luonan talked as he walked. His speed was very slow. Emochio and Tianxi were already in front of him. He thought for a bit and did not enter Area C. Instead he used the Hexier to contact Bro Octopus. After a week of preparation, Octopus had already begun the research work on Luo Yuandao's psychotropic drug. Plus he was quite ambitious. He combined Luonan's practical results and opened up several groups of drugs for comparative research. He really turned into an octopus, spending several days in a row in high-intensity work. His days and nights had long since turned upside down. When Luonan contacted him, Octopus managed to find some time to take a nap in the laboratory. He was still a bit muddle-headed when he picked up the call. But when he heard Luonan's description he instantly woke up. White Salt has returned to the country. He contacted you and wants you to go to the Frost River waterway? Octopus blurted out by Xinyan's nickname. He washed his face again to clear his mind. After pondering for a while he said, I know about the Frost River Reality Project. The government, the military, the society as well as many financial groups and companies are all involved. Chairman Ouyang is also a technical consultant. Our psychic wave network platform actually has a transplant. Of course it's not suitable for you. But if it's somatosensory stimulation the corresponding danger will be greatly reduced. Frankly speaking, White Salt's plan is a bit radical. But it is very much in line with the style of Dr. Clay's School of Reconstruction. Their school relies on top-notch nerve repair technology. They are very happy to test the limits of the human body in every case. They work on these limits, combining repair and strengthening into one. There is no school that can match up to this advantage. Of course you need to pay attention to controlling the intensity. Luonan roughly understood. Since Octopus said this there shouldn't be any major problems. He thanked Octopus and hung up. He decided to follow by Xinyan's instructions. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Following that he followed the instructions on the key email and loaded the electronic key into his social authority system. He obtained temporary authority and connected to the Frozen Star system. Soon the system guidance arrived. Luonan followed the instructions and left Area C. He took the special elevator to the third floor of Frost River Reality. The elevator door opened and two ushers dressed as female starship soldiers said at the same time, "Welcome, sir." The two guides saw Luonan, who had the face of a student, standing in the elevator car wearing eye-catching restricted peripherals. The latter half of the guide's speech was a mess. Luonan was able to confirm that the two guides were real people and not virtual images. He nodded in response and walked out of the elevator. It was completely different from the bustling scene below. Upon entering the third floor it was extremely quiet. The gloomy black light and the dense light spots at the top formed a miniature starry sky environment. It was as if even breathing could be heard. Luonan could also feel that his arrival seemed to have caused trouble for the two guides, but he couldn't always explain, "I'm just here for a physical examination." He could only feign ignorance and politely ask for relevant information according to the system notification. "I want to go to Frost River number 3. How do I get there?" The two guides, one with long hair and the other with short hair, were both charming and pleasant. The two exchanged a few glances when faced with Luonan's question. Only then did the short-haired guide speak. "Sir, Frost River number 3 is an independent area. Can we confirm your corresponding authority?" "Ah, okay." Luonan was just about to raise his hand when the long-haired guide made a hand gesture to the side of the scanner to release light. The light swept across Luonan's combat suit peripherals and a pale yellow indicator light lit up. Luonan immediately received a system notification. "Hello, respected customer. You have accidentally entered an unauthorized area. Please follow the instructions of the nearby guide and leave as soon as possible to avoid causing any accidents." The two guides looked at each other again. When they faced Luo Nan again, they simultaneously revealed professional sweet smiles. Sir, you have also seen the situation. I hope you can cooperate. Wait, it's not that. Luo Nan could roughly guess that the authority on his wristband was not connected to the peripherals of Frost River reality. He was just about to explain when the electricity behind him stopped. This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. The ladder door opened again and someone walked out unsteadily. Another drunkard. Was Frost River reality an amusement center or a hotel or a restaurant? However, the person who came was clearly a regular customer. The two guides saw him and simultaneously bowed in greeting. Mr. Hu. The drunkard walked over. He looked quite young. He casually placed his arm on the shoulder of the short-haired guide. The latter hurriedly reached out to support him and revealed a sweet smile. Mr. Hu, what do you have in mind? Mr. Hu was still clear-headed. Give me a private room and an environment that can quickly hypnotize me. Let me sleep for a while. C7. These people can really drink. Hey, Mr. Hu. The short-haired guide supported Luo Nan and walked inside. She indicated to her companion to quickly solve Luo Nan's problem. Mr. Hu moved 2 steps sideways like a crab. He could not walk properly. He got closer to Luo Nan and his drunken eyes swept over Luo Nan's face. At this moment he was stunned. He suddenly reached out to grab the goggles on Luo Nan's face. Luo Nan took half a step back and avoided the grab. He frowned. Mr. Hu, fellow student. The two guides spoke almost at the same time, but they did not know what to say. It was clear that they could not handle this chaotic situation. Mr. Hu was about to reach out, but at this moment, there was a knock on the door. The door of a room at the end of the corridor opened and a woman in a dark professional suit walked out. Seeing this person, the two guides seemed to have found their backbone. They called out at the same time, Manager Ian. The lady also noticed the situation here and walked over. As she got closer, her appearance gradually appeared in the dim light. She looked to be in her 30s. She had a beautiful face and an elegant demeanor. Her exquisite makeup brought out the mature charm of a woman. Her gaze swept across Luo Nan and Mr. Hu's faces. She immediately smiled at Mr. Hu and said, "Little boss, you got drunk the moment you came here. Do you think I specialize in sobering up soup?" Mr. Hu was inexplicably afraid of her. He straightened his body and waved his hand. "Sister Lu, I didn't mean that." Madame Ian turned her face again. She wanted to say something to Luo Nan, but she saw this young man staring at her face blankly. He was clearly in a daze. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.